I'm pleased to introduce our guest tonight. Vee Popat is a marketing and promotion professional with 17 years strategic experience. His boutique digital marketing agency, VPDM, specializes in inbound content marketing, SEO, SEM, and social media marketing and strategy. Recent accomplishments include strategizing, executing, and managing social media marketing campaigns for Nightmare's Fear Factory and Niagara Falls' only winery within a restaurant. Is it Wine Keller?
That's right.
Wine Keller. And tonight we're going to be talking more about the Nightmares campaign with Vee. In addition to VPDM, Vee's professional background includes over a decade in the music business, working in sales, media relations, radio promotion, and product artist marketing for major and indie record labels, including EMI Music Canada, Virgin Music Canada, True North Records, Attic Records, and Universal Music Canada. As Director of Marketing and Promotions, he was responsible for crafting innovative Canadian marketing and promotion campaigns for several independent and multinational selling artists. And you can follow him on Twitter at Vee Popat. It's VeePopat. So welcome, Vee.
Thank you very much.
And it's nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you.
Vee and I have exchanged a few emails about what we're going to be talking about tonight, but it's always nice to be able to meet finally the person that you're interviewing. And hopefully I'm going to get to a lot of questions you might have for Vee tonight. If not, we're hoping we're going to have some time at the end for a question and answer. So jot some stuff down if you've got some questions. And pardon me for looking at my watch now and again, but Larry, are you going to be doing that with the phone all night?
Yeah, is that okay? I'm video,
Okay.
so keep going.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Vee, tell us a little bit about your background. How did you go from the marketing music industry to your own business and an entrepreneur?
Okay, so it started, I always wanted to work in either advertising or music. When I was younger, I thought, I was pretty convinced I was going to be a rock star. And I kind of wanted to follow that path for as long as I could. And it took me till about, I don't know, my early 20s to figure out that it really wasn't going to happen that way. So then I did a lot of what I call career sampling, and I started off at the University of Guelph, went to University of Victoria, and came back to Toronto to study at Ryerson. When I was out in BC, in Victoria, I realized that my passion for music and my passion for wanting to work in marketing or advertising can come together, because I was listening to music, and I was looking at the back of a CD. And I remembered that I would do this when I was younger, looking at record albums. I could tell you what album it was on, who produced it, who else was on that label. So I all of a sudden had this realization there that, oh wow, record labels must have a marketing department.
Right.
And I didn't really think about it. I just never really thought about it.
Because you just went out and bought albums. So
yeah, exactly. And I wanted to play music. Or make music. I didn't want to sell, or I didn't really even realize that there was a marketing department. I said, wow, I was just really excited about that. And I thought, hey, why don't I, if it isn't going to work as an artist, why don't I get into the marketing side of things? So I was really fortunate, I think. I mean, it's been good, because everything that I've had some jobs that I really didn't like, but I've always wanted to work in, like I said, marketing or music. And at that point, music was really what I wanted to do. So I moved back here, got a marketing degree from Ryerson, and like 6 weeks after I graduated, I got the job at Universal Music. And that was very fortunate, and that led me to doing what I want to do in what I wanted to do in music for years. Then, long story short, the music business has changed a lot in the last 5-10 years. At my end of music was 2004. And we were selling, at the end of the day, a recorded product that was being pirated,
Right.
Or downloaded illegally. And the music business wasn't ready to make changes in their business model to be able to, try and adapt to file sharing, I guess.
Right.
I mean, that's another whole other story. But long
Yeah.
story short, I was at EMI at the time. There was some downsizing, and I got let go in 2004 February. So then I'm like, what am I going to do? I've never been fired or let go out of a job my whole life. This was all I wanted to do. It's all I've done for the longest time.
Right.
And some personal stuff was going on at the time too, where my oldest son's mom and I split, and she moved back to the Niagara region. which is you can probably put 1 and 2 together is what me ended up coming here. But anyway, so I started an independent record label, and that's when and a management agency. So we had bands that we booked tours for, promoted, and I had distribution through Universal Music with my relationships with Universal, and I got digital distribution myself through iTunes and other digital music services at that point. Not a lot of money in independent music and independent artist management, but I built my first website. SEO'd my first website, not even really knowing what SEO really was, but understanding that you have to show up at the top of Google.
Right.
And started getting into...
Isn't that what SEO is?
Well, that's what it turns out. But again, I didn't know that at that time. It was just something that you did to, you got to site up. Now you got to, there was stuff you had to do back then, like submitting the search engine.
Yeah.
I think some people still do that now, but you don't really have to. But I mean, it was... it was just really archaic back then, but it was great to learn it from back then, because then you see all the changes that happened.
Right.
But it didn't last for a long time because I wanted to be closer to my oldest son, so I moved here in 2005, decided to find some work here. I was still running the label. Wasn't happening, moved back to Toronto, got back into the music business, got let go again. Our contract didn't get renewed, and I was like done. I said I'm coming to Niagara, and I was also, I have a young son as well with my current girlfriend, so we were pregnant, and I wanted to come here because both my kids are here. And so I thought, I can't do music here, let's do something. And then I kind of stumbled into this because I was doing some sales at Niagara Falls radio station, and every customer I would go talk to, I didn't really believe in I loved radio, but I didn't believe in advertising on radio at that point because I was doing so much in the digital world, early digital world. They would always say they needed a website as opposed to radio ads.
Right.
So there's where I came in to be like, oh, well, I could help you there. On the side, I do blah, 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 blah. And then it turned out that there was a little, you realize there's a need.
Yeah.
And
so you started doing websites. So that was in 2005?
That was in 2008.
Yeah.
2008, and then it was websites, it was SEO, and it wasn't really the social got started a little bit, but it when I was doing some work with the Niagara Falls Niagara Hotel, what were they called? Niagara 21st Group. They used to own the Marriott. And so working in tourism I got hired to help them out with their digital marketing, and that's when the social started in 2008. When I introduced a social media program to their hotels. It used to be the Sheraton, which is now the Marriott Gateway, the Marriott Falls View.
Don't even try to start figuring out what hotel is called what now and what it used to be called, because it's like
it's gonna change.
Marriott and then the Falls View and in the falls and on the falls and beside the falls.
But they weren't doing social at that time, and when we started doing social, we were bringing in almost a reservation per month we had Facebook and Twitter that we were doing.
Right.
So now it wasn't huge, but the point was like, look, we're getting traffic on the social sites. People are liking the content, and we got a reservation or two now. For when you're doing this to start out, you're happy to get one reservation, but maybe at the end of the day, they figure the ROI didn't really help. With 1 or 2 reservations, but we kept it up. They were
So you implemented a social media campaign for them, and they were, as a result of that, they were getting maybe 1 or 2 hotel room reservations
a month per offer. They had one offer per month where we would all go out to just one email database. So I said,
okay, let's back up a little bit. Okay, so you do a campaign, sorry, because I got to understand this. You do a campaign, so 1 reservation a month to me sounds like, well, that doesn't sound like a lot, but now you're saying that it's like, it's not just...
Well, it's okay. You're starting. They never had social before. They didn't have any social media whatsoever.
Okay, so what social tools were you using?
I was using back in the day. That was TweetDeck to monitor Twitter. We opened up a Twitter account and a Facebook account. And
okay.
That was it.
All right.
So out of Facebook, my.
So you were running competitions? Is that what you're?
No, the hotel would have 1 offer per month. So let's say it's a $99 hotel package, and that would go out to an email database that the hotel has, and it would go out to this company TravelZoo, which travel subscribers subscribe to the DLC, and that was it. So my whole thing was, why don't we start? Okay, so you got 2 databases. You got TravelZoo's million Canadian travelers, and you got our whatever it was. It was 5 figures. It was a pretty decent sized database. It hadn't been cleaned in years, but still, they were happy because it was.
So they had built this database from previous
reservations
okay.
and people, and they do have a call to action on their site to join their email list.
Okay.
So anyway, I was like, let's expand this. We'll get a Facebook like a social database. We got a Facebook database, we got a Twitter database, we got the Travel Zoo database, and then we have the email database.
Okay.
So instead of the offer going out to just 2 sources of media, why not bring social? It just makes so much sense to me. Why not bring social into it and spread it and build the following on Facebook, build the following on Twitter, and then you offer them content, and every month they get like the same offer that goes out to their email database, and the Travel Zoo will be given to Facebook and to Twitter followers.
Okay.
But the thing is each URL on that landing page is also coded with a specific tag, so you know that this reservation came from Twitter, this reservation came from Facebook, this reservation came from Travel Zoo.
Okay, and so, but we're talking in when? 2008?
This is 2008-9.
Okay, so things have changed a lot since
Lots.
then too, in terms of what your analytics are and what
Absolutely.
you have available to you. Okay, so let's jump
we
in.
should jump.
Yeah, let's jump into the Nightmares Fear Factory, okay? So is anybody here familiar with the Nightmares Fear Factory campaign? Okay, so you've checked, so it's a tourism site, it's a tourist attraction in Niagara Falls.
In Niagara Falls.
And tell us about, that was 2009?
2011.
Okay.
I started with them in 2000. We started the campaign in 2009. Yes,
Okay,
yes,
so you were hired by them in 2009.
Yes.
And then things went, let's start with that, okay?
Okay, so in 2009, the owner's name is Frank, and him and I started talking, and Frank is a guy who's, he's really smart business guy, number one. He's really, really creative. He makes all of the effects inside Nightmares. He's not a tech guy.
So imagine Nightmares, because I've never been there,
Yeah,
but I imagine it's quite a bit what it sounds like.
Yeah.
So you go through and you get scared.
Oh yeah, very.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And it's fun too
Get
because
really
fear
scared.
is funny, which we ended up seeing. But yeah, so he's not a tech guy, but he gets it. He understands what he wanted to get. He couldn't. Me and him ended up becoming on the same page because he had video and he had photos. So I'm salivating with all this content because it's funny content.
Okay, so when you started with him, he had a website?
Yes.
Did he have Twitter followers? No. Did he have Facebook?
They had a Facebook group, but at this time, Facebook pages had been out
Right.
for approximately about a year or so. So the Facebook group.
There were still groups and
and
pages.
pages, but we all know. I mean, you don't want a Facebook group. I mean, even today. But I mean, a Facebook group is great for certain things, but not for a brand, is what I'm saying. For a brand, a page has so many more features.
Yeah. Okay. So he had that. Anything else going on?
No.
Okay. And he was doing okay.
He was doing, everything was fine, but he invented these, or not invented, but his idea with the pictures came from about 10 years ago. He would stand in the maze.
Okay, but these people don't necessarily know about the pictures yet.
Oh, okay, so we'll get to that.
So we'll get to that.
Okay.
So let's start, so
Okay.
you got hired.
Yep.
The intention was to bring in more people.
The intention was to get people, it was twofold. It was to get people talking about Nightmares, and that has something to do with the pictures, because we would email them out first.
Okay.
And that's where he started doing social before there was even really social.
Okay, so I think for those of you who haven't been on the website, if you wanted to check it out, so at Nightmares Fear Factory, there's cameras. So when you get scared, there's a camera that takes your picture. It doesn't take a picture of what you're scared of. It takes a picture of you being scared.
That's important.
Or the group that you're with.
Too. Yeah, and there's a reason that we take a picture of you and not what's
right,
scaring
exactly. So he was doing that.
So he had these pictures going, and we would, and when people would buy pictures, we would say, "Hey, we'll email you one."
So the point was, he was taking the pictures so people would buy them on their way out.
On the way out,
like when you get in a roller coaster and
exactly,
you gotta buy it,
exactly.
right? Because you look so crazy.
But the push at the desk was, leave us your email address for the email capture,
right.
And we'll send you. And it's such a tiny little picture that we would send, like 400 pixels wide, basically. So, and we would ask them to email it to their friends, because at that point there wasn't a place to share it other than MySpace. But he wasn't really dealing with that. He was like, and Facebook wasn't around at that point.
Okay.
So he was doing this, like trying to spread things socially,
right?
And trying to create value and give the value to the customer
right.
to be able to share. And because of the value that how funny the photos are, because people want to do that.
So there was already some engagement through social media channels with their clients. Or through digital?
Through email, not through social. Well, if we count, yeah, only because
Right.
people weren't posting it on social channels. They were emailing it to their
They were
friends
emailing
and
it.
family.
So there was a little bit of engagement though,
Yes.
like there's an action involved,
Yes,
right?
yes.
They had to do that.
Right. So he wanted to take that to the next level
Okay.
with video
Right.
and the photos.
Oh, I
that we
see,
had
okay.
too. And so we started talking on the phone one day, and we were on the phone for quite a long time, and we were just, it was one of those really good conversations when you're talking to a client. Yeah, like you're all both on the same page, and yeah, we can do this, we can do this. Went in and talked to him, and we spent almost 2 hours talking, and I didn't leave until he hired me because I knew we could do something.
Right.
I didn't know what, but I was excited, to tell you the truth, because it was a huge project for social media. It was for me, because it was the first big thing that you could do that you said, look at it's so funny. The content is funny. Like people are going to like.
Right.
You look at what people share, and you look at what people want to share funny stuff.
Yep.
And they've always wanted to share funny stuff. And I thought, I mean, it makes so much sense. Look at all the content coming out. Why not share it socially?
So apparently it looks really funny when people are scared.
People love it. They
Okay.
love looking
Okay.
at people scared.
Okay, so when you started the campaign, like so how were you going to be measuring success then? Was it going to be by revenue generated, by the number of people through the door, by all of those things?
Yeah, pretty much all. I mean, number
Website
one,
hits.
Yep.
Uh,
Website rankings too.
Okay, website rankings.
It was all that. So yeah, we knew where we started. So we started measuring website rankings, social media growth. I used to use an Excel spreadsheet where every Monday I would go in and I would look at the Facebook likes, and I remember it would be like, okay, 700 after we created the page.
Right.
So I'd put in 700 in the field, and then the next Monday I'd come and do it again and go, okay, now it's at like 900.
Right.
So because there's no tools to calculate this stuff
At the time.
At the time, and
Right.
and there's when we get to Twitter, I'll tell you, it was ridiculous what I used to do with Twitter, which you don't have to do now anymore, but just putting data into Excel spreadsheets, which I hate. Like I hate Excel spreadsheets, but they came real handy to be able to keep track of the social media growth, because
Right.
there was no insights, there's no Facebook insights, analytics, nothing of the sort.
Okay, so he already had a website and a Facebook group,
Right.
no Twitter,
No Twitter, no YouTube,
no YouTube, and there was no Instagram.
no Instagram, no Flickr, no Pinterest, no nothing. It
Okay.
was just the Facebook. Essentially, it was a Facebook group for the sake of having a Facebook group.
Okay, so your campaign was about developing what tools initially?
Developing Facebook and Twitter, and the website traffic, and website rankings, and then it was hard to. We were doing our best to get tracking on the conversions of website sales, but
Right.
we don't measure website sales as a metric of success for the social campaign, because Frank understands that people are not gonna, some people will buy online, but a lot of people will research when they come to Niagara Falls. They already know they're gonna come to Nightmares, so then they're gonna come to Nightmares and buy at the door.
Okay.
And that could have easily come from the exposure on the website, as
Right.
opposed to just finding out about Nightmares.
So in other words, it was pretty difficult to tell where people,
Yeah,
why
it
they
was-
were coming in.
Yeah, yeah.
You knew so they were coming in, but you weren't quite sure
We
why.
weren't quite sure why.
Why? Okay.
Right. Well, yeah, we don't know where they came from. So the way the social media was success was tracked was by the increase in following. That way, we didn't know whether that was coming into a conversion. And that was a conversation we'd have all the time. He's like, well, how do we got to figure out, how do we know we're going to get these people? How do we know they converted? And that led to me wanting to get rid of that.
Converted meaning?
Oh, sorry, converted meaning they find out about Nightmares somehow. We're talking social, so they find something on Facebook that we shared. They're interested, they click, and they come to the website. They explore, they look through whatever they like, and they convert by, a conversion for us is them buying tickets
Okay.
online.
So they can buy
That's one
tickets
thing.
online, so
Right.
that, okay.
Right. And so, but that's not the measure, that's not the be all and end all of how we track the social media success, because as I mentioned, that they might come from social media. Like they could be referred, a social media referrer to the website.
Right.
But if they don't convert, meaning they don't purchase online, they could still visit Niagara Falls and already plan on going to Nightmares,
Right.
do the research they did, and then buy their tickets at the door. But the sale was what was referred from the website.
Right. Okay.
So I can't get the website. The website sales can't. The conversion can't get credit for that because they didn't convert off the website. They bought tickets at the door. So it's like, imagine if we're planning a trip right now.
Right.
And we're like, oh, we got to go to that place when we get to wherever we're going.
Right.
Okay, we can buy tickets right now. And we're like, nah, we'll just get tickets when we
Right.
get there.
Okay.
Right? And so
But
then-
you've already done the research ahead of
Yeah,
time.
right.
You already know you're
And
going there,
They
but you're
wouldn't have
just
done
going to
that
wait.
if
Yeah.
it wasn't for the social, because that's
Right.
where they came from.
Okay.
So it was hard to measure like that, but that's where the whole conversation with me and him started. I wanted to get rid of the website that he had because it was a flash site, which was scary enough to begin with. Even back then in 2009, you really didn't want a flash site. It needed to be updated. Finally, well, I got him to say okay to a new website, and then we built one without him from Upper Rapids. We
Okay.
built an awesome few sites, actually 2 sites we built without him.
There's that
3,
right
4
there.
maybe even. Yeah, in that one that one redo, that one version that we did, we built 3 sites, a Flash, and we can get into why. Even though I said I don't like Flash, we built a Flash, a static HTML, and a mobile site the first time, and then we redid those.
I think you're going to need a different interviewer if you're going to get into all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because
Okay. Oh, 'cause we're not- we're
I
just
won't
staying-
even know what
okay.
questions to ask you, other than, oh, really?
Yeah. Sounds like it sounds.
And then
like
if I sort of glaze over, right?
Okay.
So if there's other questions here from the programming audience, write them down and we'll get. Okay, so you redo the website. You're redoing your website. You're changing from a group to a Facebook page.
Yep.
You're starting a
Twitter.
Twitter.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we jumped on pretty quick with everything because we had everything. We could start YouTube as well.
Right.
Because we had the video.
Right.
And
So when you first started this, it was Flickr, right? Flickr was the.
Well, this was the funny thing. I mean, and I'm glad you brought up Flickr because, this part of the story is really ridiculous, and it still is ridiculous today, for me anyway. And I think you'll think the same way. So what we started doing was exactly what you said, but I went hardcore. I went everywhere I thought our content fit. So, and you'll see why it made sense in the end. So Facebook and Twitter, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, clearly we got to be there. And we post on Tumblr, Instagram, and Pinterest too as they came along. But back then, why would you not, I was saying to myself, post photos on Flickr? I mean, it's a freaking photo sharing site, right?
Right.
That's what it's there for, is to share photos. So it seemed so obvious to me. Again, so I said, who owns Flickr? It's Yahoo. It's a search engine. Remember, it's 2008. So I know not a lot of people use Yahoo, but at the same time, they're a company that's trying to do something, and whether they're going to be somewhere in search or not, who knows? But in 2008, it was Yahoo owned Flickr. It was like one of the only all photo sharing sites.
Right.
So it just made sense.
Yeah.
But nobody viewed any pictures on Flickr. Every week, I would just be putting up our top 10 of the week every week, just like I would tell you. I would fill out those stupid Excel sheets with the numbers and stuff.
Nobody was looking at it.
Nobody was looking at it. Like I could see the views, the total views of the photos was something like 56 or something like that. It was in like the 50s, really, really, really low. When in 2011, when we started to go viral, the pictures that were originally were found on the Flickr site, and a post was published on BuzzFeed that linked to the Flickr site. So that's how Flickr went crazy. And the ridiculous part of it was that after 2 months, not even 2 months, after probably 6 weeks, the Flickr views went from like the 56 to like over 3.5 million. And it's almost 5 million to
That's why he's here.
56. No, but that's not. I mean, that's just the content, right? I mean, we were
Yeah.
just what we did was make sure the content was everywhere. So the point I was trying to make was, if I was just putting stuff on Flickr and nobody was seeing anything. But the whole point was, and we'll get into this, I'm sure soon. I approach everything from an SEO perspective, because you're going to Google first, no matter what, unless you already know what you want. Everybody is. So that was the whole thinking in Flickr. It was owned by Yahoo, a search engine. Oh, and then the most important part, I made sure that each photo was optimized for search, using appropriate keywords and not stuffing, and making sure that every little thing from the file names, they wasn't like photo001.jpg. It was Niagara Falls Nightmares or Nightmares Fear Factory or Niagara Falls Haunted House.
So every time a picture was taken, you had to go in and do that, and before it went to Flickr.
No, I do it in the upload.
Okay.
I do it in the upload. Like after you upload it, most people don't take the time to go through all the options because what it is what I think it is, why a lot of this stuff came naturally, and this might come a little off course, but I've never used social for personal reasons. Like ever. I mean, I can show you. You can't even see anything on my Facebook page because I don't want anybody to see it anyway. But the thing is, there's nothing there. I mean, it's actually open to anybody to see, but there's nothing there. And I mean, and I share stuff on my Twitter, but it's all professional related.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is personal related too, because that's the nature of Twitter. But that changes after a while. But my point is that I never. If people who use social from a personal perspective and move to social media marketing, it's awesome because they understand how it works, but they got to understand that we're lazy as people to put up our own photo. Because why are you going to put up an alt tag? You're gonna. Why are you going to
put up a what?
Like, why are you going to change your file name from photo-1 JPEG
Right.
to an optimized name?
Right.
Why would you like? There's an alt tag in the metadata that can go on where the image goes up. And there's a title tag and an alt tag on images, which you can optimize. And there's a title tag and an alt tag or a title tag on links that you can optimize as well. The point is you want to optimize wherever you can when you're putting up content. But you do this for your clients, but you don't do it for your own personal stuff because it doesn't really matter. You don't want to go through all of those extra options. Do you ever see the options where it says, file name? You can change the file name. You usually leave it, or it'll say tags, enter description. Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, yeah, it is a lot of work. But you get in the flow, right? And you just because you know what keywords you're going for, and you just try to make it relevant. Throw some keywords in there, not overstuff. But it's not. The keyword thing is another thing too. I mean, Google's not so worried about exact match keywords anymore. Like back in the day, if you were looking for, let's say, a dentist in Niagara Falls, you'd search dentist in Niagara Falls, and this is back in the day. The sites that would show up would be the sites that probably had dentist in Niagara Falls mentioned the most times in that same incarnation, not Niagara Falls dentist.
The phrase, yeah.
Right, but now. And with semantic search and with the way people are searching, look at how, imagine or pay attention to how you search when you're on your desktop versus how you search on your mobile, because you're going to get kind of pissed off and cranky on your mobile when you're searching, and on desktop you might use even more long tail searches on desktop because you might just be dentist Niagara on mobile,
right?
But on desktop you might put in a little more. But the point being is, Google is smart enough to know what you're looking for based on the whole no privacy rule, and don't even think they know what you're searching. They read your. I mean, they know that's how ads come up targeted to
right.
you. Again, privacy is a whole other issue, but Google will serve up ads to you, or serve up results to you that they think that you're looking for. So with GPS, well, not even GPS, but like local search. Let's say you're in Niagara Falls and you search dentist. It's probably going to give you dentist in Niagara Falls search or first, as opposed to some dentist in Los Angeles or something like that.
Right.
Because it knows that you're probably looking for
something at local, where close to where you are, right?
If you're ever going to do any SEO, just play around a little bit with some of the search terms you're going for, and go and look and see what. It's called Google Suggest. When you start typing, a list will drop down, not of your history, but of related search terms. And I use that to SEO as well. I use keyword, like that's part of my keyword research, because I'll go in there and I'll say I put in, I don't know, Niagara Falls hotels. Then you're going to see, and I'm just talking out my butt here. This is not real fact in terms of search terms. But let's say you put Niagara Falls hotels, then it would come up hotels in Niagara Falls, places to stay in Niagara Falls, accommodation in Niagara Falls deals. Then you take those terms and throw them into your keyword research and find out, how competitive they are. If you're doing AdWords, what their cost per click would be, what the average monthly searches are for each of these words. Then you'll know which words are more suited for you to use,
right, that
are getting the most searches, and you optimize your content that way. So back to Flickr, what I did was I was putting stuff up around September, April or August, September, and I started optimizing for Halloween. Because I figured it's relevant because our stuff is a haunted house.
Right.
And I thought if people are going to search Halloween on Flickr or on social or anywhere, or funny or whatever, I want our pictures just to show up. It wasn't funny anything. It was just Halloween at that time. So what I think happened was the writer from BuzzFeed was probably looking for content because he's a blogger, right? He's a blogger and he's looking for content. It's September. It's late September. He's probably looking for Halloween content because writers are going to be looking for Halloween content, especially on a site like BuzzFeed or a site like the Huffington Post or any site that's looking for content. So he had to been on Flickr and must have started searching God knows what, but Halloween something. I don't know if this happened. I've been trying to reach out and talk to him, but he won't get back to me. But I want to ask him how this happened because my theory is that he was searching Halloween stuff. He came up with whatever he came up, and then he saw pictures from Nightmares with guys being scared. And he
Right.
thought it was funny. And if you see these guys being scared, he coined the term scare bros. And that's a hashtag for us now. Because in the original BuzzFeed article in 2011, that was the one that started everything to go viral. The whole thing was a selection of guys being scared in a haunted house. And that's what the title was, you know, like guys, scare bros in a haunted house, or, you know, nothing's funnier than seeing guys scared. I can't remember what it's called. But the headline was a traditional BuzzFeed headline. It's good link bait. People are going to click on that. And they did. And then they were just as amused. And then they started sharing it. And then we get into, you know, how it happened that day when I remember checking the analytics that day.
Okay, so let's tell everybody what happened. So BuzzFeed.
It was October 6th. BuzzFeed, I got to work. Started a normal day.
So now this is
Check.
2011, right?
2011.
So you've been running this campaign now
Since
for
09.
since
2
09,
years,
so
right.
2 years. So now it's October 2011. Okay.
And so I check I go into Google Analytics and just check to see what's going on the site. It's before noon, let's say 11:30, and I notice that BuzzFeed, and I never heard of the site before, is sending all this traffic to us, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And then I end up, and I hadn't looked at my Hootsuite dashboard, and I guess that whole morning. And by 11, I'm looking at the Hootsuite dashboard, and I'm seeing all the mentions of Nightmares Fear Factory and this BuzzFeed link going on, and I'm going, what's going on? Because who is BuzzFeed, and why is everybody linking to BuzzFeed mentioning Nightmares Fear Factory? Go there, see that, I'm like, wow, this is awesome. You know, tell Frank, the owner, tell a team member of mine. You know, we're all excited. That's great. I checked maybe about, I don't know, I think I went for lunch. I came back. I checked again. All of a sudden, Tumblr. We weren't even posting on Tumblr at this point. Tumblr brought in that span of an hour or so over 2,000 visits. So now I'm kind of going like, you know, what the hell's going on? Something crazy is going on. So I follow the links on Tumblr, and Tumblr bloggers are posting those pictures on their Tumblr blogs because they're so funny and they want to share them themselves, and they got them from BuzzFeed.
And it's close to Halloween.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
And that was the beauty of it, is that the whole beauty of everything was timing was right and the content was there, and we were pretty much ready for it. We were ready for it when the traffic came. The website crashed though that first day. We went out. We usually get about 600 visitors a day back at that time, and that day we went up to, I think it was like over 60,000. The increase was like 10,000% in visitors. Website crashed. I'm on the phone with Adam freaking out. He's like, we don't know what's going on. Adam's like, he's gonna fix it. He moved it. We had to work on something to get just a splash page up, or some type of landing page. And on that landing page, we linked everybody out to our social channels. So that was the great part of having everything together, is that we have technically at that point the world coming to that website, which is down, but we put up a landing page with contact information so media could contact, because media was starting to call at that point, like contact address and information, and then links to our social, so they could, because people were coming to find out about what is Nightmares, and let me see more of these pictures.
Right.
So with the website down, you know, there was a moment there for probably about, you know, I don't even know how long, half an hour, where we didn't have anything up. And any marketer will tell you, you're freaking out because, you know, you got everybody coming, you want your stuff up there. At
This is
time.
exactly what you want to happen, and now it's happened, and now you're down.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's exactly it. So the landing page went up and routed everybody to social, and then and then that's how that HTML site, that plain static HTML site, started coming up. As we just started, the site that we actually ended up building the second time with Adam was a matter of necessity because of that viral
Because of
surge.
that, yeah.
So I mean, it was good to have all the social stuff in place, so people could go. But what I found was really funny is people liked the photos more than the videos. I always thought that, like, when we started to make people talk, or the goal was to, you know, increase revenue, website traffic, and all that good stuff, get people talking. We never brought up the term viral because we had no idea. We just wanted to get people talking about it.
Right.
And we did get people talking about it in ways that we didn't even imagine could happen. And that was, I think, because of the strength of the content and the way that it was I think it was optimized well for people to find, for the first guy to find, and then it just happened to be everywhere. So no matter where you were, you're going to end up seeing this, whether it's Tumblr, whether it's Flickr, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, or whether it's YouTube, because somebody in your network is going to end up sharing it, and then you're going to end up seeing it.
Yeah.
So it worked out well to have a lot of social media channels covered, which is why when people say, you don't need all social media channels, you definitely don't, but sometimes you do, and this type of content fit everywhere.
So what happens to your analytics when your website crashes for an hour or so? Like, do you lose a lot of stuff or
Well, all of that is zero. It becomes zero because nothing is happening.
right?
Or because because nothing is happening. The website's down, so you do lose. We lost probably about an hour's worth. I mean, I'm not that mad at an hour now, but I remember that day it was just, you're like, oh man.
What happened in that hour?
Mhm,
How many
mhm.
people were trying to get at it?
But the funny thing is that went away really fast, because sometimes these viral things last like, a couple of days, maybe like 3 or 4 days. This thing ended up going like almost 4 weeks. Like
Really?
But that was timing though, because it was close to Halloween, right? It was close to us. So media networks, like I remember, I think it was CBS News was the first media to call, and the last media to post. They wanted to do it. Okay, so they called.
So they wanted to do a story.
They wanted to do. They called me mid-October, but they
Right.
didn't post until October 29th or 30th, whenever the Monday before Halloween was, or whatever that was then.
Right.
Because they wanted to save their content for
Just
timely, for being
Right,
timely.
yeah.
But that's interesting about media, because doesn't media, you know what it is? I just thought about this just now. This shows you how traditional media never really changes.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know where I'm going with this? Because the thing is buzzing right now.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about it right now, but they want to can it and schedule it for 3 weeks down, so they
Right.
can get all these ratings before, or all this surge in traffic before the holiday.
right.
Right? But I mean, it's happening right now. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So why not do it right now? They got a surge in traffic, and so did we. So maybe they're right. But I mean, if you think about it, it's because that first screen television, that kind of media doesn't keep up with the second screen in terms of social and whatnot. 'Cause
Yeah.
everything is happening. I mean, I know guys that live out west, when they talk about the Grammys being on, and they're like, I don't even have to watch it now because I was on Twitter
Right.
for the last.
Yeah. Because of the time change, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, the Olympics too, right?
Right,
So now
exactly.
we're watching the Olympics and we
After
already,
it's
a lot of times already know what happened
Right.
because it's all over the place. Okay, so one of the things that happened as a result of you going viral, and I don't know what that translates to in terms of like the numbers of people. Well, you can maybe tell us
Yeah.
that.
Numbers of people through the door or to the website?
Well,
or to
let's
the
do
social?
both. Let's do both.
Okay, so let's so in terms of the website, like I said, the first all in all, it was more than a 10,000% increase. Like that 10,000% increase was just on the first day. On the first day, it started and it lasted for 3 weeks. The interesting thing is each year was different. 2011 was huge. 2012 wasn't as big as 2011, but it didn't last as long as 2011, and the timing was a little bit off.
Right.
Meaning it started like very early, like in almost September.
Okay.
Or actually the end of August. 2013 was actually better than overall than 2011. Relatively speaking.
Right.
I mean, the crazy traffic happened in 2011, but I mean, just first numbers. I don't know what this is going to mean to anybody, but comparing 2011 from October 1st till the end of November to the same time period 2010,
Right.
the amount of visits was up 1,834%. The amount of unique visitors was up 2,000%.
What's a unique visitor?
A unique visitor is somebody, so a visit is, let's say me and you go to a web page.
Yeah.
Okay, if I go to that web page, check it out, and leave, and then I come back and check it out, that's 2 visits.
Right.
If you go to that
Right.
website once, that's 1 visit, but if you go back again, they're only counting that as 1 visit.
Okay. Yeah.
Page views went up 1,205%, which was great, and that was I mean, people are clicking through the site and looking at all the pictures.
Right.
The pages per visit were down 32.54%, but the reason being is when we had this site, you could only look at the fear pick of the day, meaning one picture.
Okay.
Right. The next year we had galleries where you could look at an archived list of the top 10, an archived list of the daily fear pick picture, and then archive of our top 40. And all the videos.
So lots of pictures and lots of video.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
More, right. And we did that because of what happened here. So
Right.
So
People are staying longer on the site
people are
too.
staying longer,
Yeah.
right? And we wanted to make them stay longer than they did here by giving them more content.
More, yeah.
The bounce rate was down 37.82%, so that's really good.
The bounce rate.
Now the bounce rate is so let's say somebody comes to your site and doesn't take action. They just kind of show up to your site and then they leave. They bounce off, and rather than clicking through to your site.
Okay.
Into your site. So it's not always a bad thing, but like if you have a one-page site, it's probably going to your bounce rate's probably going to be high because people aren't really going anywhere.
Because there's nowhere to go, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I don't know, you have to ask a developer that if you click on a link and it goes to I don't know, that's another, who knows, but the point being is it was, okay, so that's 2011. 2012, compared to 2011, the unique visits were down 19%. And that's because it was so high in 2011 that 2012 couldn't compete.
Right.
But the page views were up 165%, and that's because of what we just talked about, that we added more content.
Yeah, more content, yeah.
And the pages per visit were up 211%. So again, more content. The average visit duration, the time they spent on the site, was up 259%. So they spent a boatload of time on the site viewing content.
Again, because of now they've got so many pictures to look at.
That's right. And the bounce rate was down 51%. So, well, clearly because they're staying longer. And then in 2013, the visits, and this is compared to 2012, were up 37%. Unique visits were up 40%. Page views were up 27%. Pages per visit were down 6.8%. And the average duration was down. The bounce rate was down a bit, but I'm wondering, why were page visits down? Remember we just said there was all that content? What do you want to like? I'm thinking, and this is the way I feel, these pictures are played out because people got a lot of love for them in 2011. Right? They got some in 2012, and 2013, it's still working. I mean, we got like an incredible amount of traffic to the site. Like, in 1 month, there was close to 500,000 in 1 month. I mean, that's not bad for we don't get close to that.
So what's the sustainability factor then of this content? So you're posting this content or a lot of it in September to get ready for.
We post all year round.
You're posting all year round, but
we've
you're getting
added-
the major traffic.
Right. One thing we
in the
left
fall.
out, we had major traffic in the fall, but one thing that we left out was we added a blog. I can't even remember when, if that was 2011. I think it could have been right after 2011. We added a blog in 2012, and now the blog content that we put out brings in, on average, like I don't know exactly, it's up or down, but anywhere between 200 and 350 clicks from a posted social channel. So like if we can continue with that traffic, with that type of traffic, then we can continue to get our stuff shared and somehow always try and remain relevant.
Right.
But we're working on something new. Like in terms of sustainability, we got to come up with something new because I've been working with these pictures since 2009, so I'm pretty sick of them. I mean, they are funny and people love them. And you know what? I don't know what'll happen this fall, but people will probably start spreading them again because it's not really a viral thing. I think it went viral in 2011, but I think it turned into more of like a meme-like status because people started making remixes of these things, like photoshopping like weird things, like that time when Miley was twerking, and there's a picture of Miley twerking, and they put like photoshopped her in front of like a scared guy behind her, and you look at it, and you're laughing now, you haven't even seen it. Wait till you see it; it's even funnier because it's just really silly, and so people are starting to do stuff like that, and that happens. We actually had a competition where we had it's called the Fear Pick Remix contest, and we had a whole microsite built, which Adam helped us with as well, where we tracked people would enter content. The contest would be here. You have three. We limited it to 3 fear picks. So these are the 3 you get to choose from. Now you can do anything you want with them in terms of remixing them, photoshopping them, and then upload them, and then we'll pick a winner from we didn't say from Facebook likes and stuff. We just said we had it on Facebook, but you can't run a competition like that on Facebook. Well, you can now, but back then you couldn't. For likes and stuff like that. For likes, you can say the one that gets the most likes wins. So back then, we created something on the website where we were counting votes. But between you and I and everyone here, it really meant nothing. We were going to pick whichever one had the most likes because that clearly shows us that it had the most engagement.
Right.
And that's the one we're going to pick anyway.
Yeah.
But the way we got around it was building it on our site, sharing it on Facebook.
So you're all about content, right? It's all about content. So how do you then? So if you, I mean, with Nightmares Fear Factory, it's the pictures and it's doing things with the pictures and the video and you have a contest and that sort of thing. But how do you, for everybody else, think about making content relevant? How do you keep it relevant? How do you keep that momentum going? And making sure that you've got the engagement and the interaction and that sort of thing. Like what sort of things do you look at in terms of keeping your content rich enough that it's going to be drawing the attention that you want?
Honestly, man,
That wasn't in my notes.
No, but it's a good question. I don't have. I mean, I can tell you what my approach is, but I mean, I wish I knew that answer because it's hard out there for a content creator. Like you got to stay on top of. I think if you could stay on top of pop culture and relevant industry trends and try and marry the two, then you can have some fun. So like I have a client that is.
But pop culture isn't going to be necessarily relevant to every industry out there.
But
either, or is
that's
it?
how you got to be creative, right?
Okay.
Because what I'm saying is there's like this one client I have is ice cream manufacturer. They manufacture ice cream packaging, and they make glass milk bottles for dairy farmers, and it's called bottle tattooing. They do that. Wine bottles have a label on it. It's not a paper label. It's that glass screen label. Now how exciting is that? Right. I mean, like and they want to do social, and I'm dying to do I've been doing their social since August of last year, but I was all over it because now it's another challenge. And what makes it worse, they got a B2B strategy and a B2C strategy, and the B2C strategy is based solely on getting the public excited about ice cream, milk, and bottle tattooing. So we created three different. So the point is now you got to get creative, right? So I was sitting with some freelancers that I work with, and just what are we going to do? Okay, we decided we'd make 3 separate Facebook pages, which, by the way, stink right now and aren't working, and we're taking that right over to these LinkedIn, what are they called? Showcase pages. And a LinkedIn showcase page is going to be exactly like a Google Plus and a Facebook brand page. It doesn't look like, that's another story, research it, you'll find out, and it's going to work a lot better for this company. But my point being is we have to figure out what kind of content.
So what is it, LinkedIn? Showcase pages? Okay.
Now this is going to be just like a Google Plus. Like it's going to work a lot more like Google Plus and Facebook. It's going to work. LinkedIn can work like Facebook for you. So if your market is B2B, these showcase pages are huge. And I'm actually working on it today to build showcase pages for their 3 different divisions.
Right.
That's what showcases are meant for corporations that have different brands, different product offerings, different initiatives, different divisions. Then you can make instead of having everything on one LinkedIn company page, you can have these profile pages for all of your divisions. So we did that for Facebook. We did Happiness is Ice Cream for their ice cream division. We did Milk Made Easy for their milk division, and we did Tattoos and Bottles for their tattoo printing, or for their bottle printing. That one's content, craft beer, 19 plus, pop culture, music,
right?
Because it's that type of thing. For Milk Made Easy, it's strictly the dairy industry, strictly dairy farmers, and
so that's all business to business then.
No, that's B2C.
Okay.
Yeah, that's B2C because we're trying to get the dairy farmers interested in our content, and who's going to be more interested if I'm talking about how to make how to milk your cow, how to make your cow make more milk. I mean, I don't know how many people would be interested in this room, but if you're a dairy farmer, you probably would want to read. So just alluding back to how do we make, but with pop culture, what I did with that was on the ice cream thing, just as an example, is I read about how you can make music from licking ice cream, that these researchers are these crazy whacked out creative researchers in like Europe somewhere, and you lick ice cream and they
just another reason to eat ice cream.
But isn't that a beautiful title for a blog post? Hey, another, people are going to click on that because they love ice cream,
right?
And that's engaging. They're going to be like, well, what is this? Now I have another excuse next time somebody says I shouldn't be eating ice cream. Now you got them. Granted, it's link bait, but that's what it's all about in a nice way,
right?
As long as they're coming to a relevant article,
right?
We still find relevant because number one, it's kind of crazy. You want to find out how you're going to make ice cream or lick ice cream by make music by licking ice cream. So we write a little bit about it. There's an actual video, so that's adding video content to the blog, and people like video content. So it's not just like text-based blog articles. We like to use podcasts when possible, SlideShare decks, video, images, of course, GIFs if we can. anything that is going to be engaging. So once you got them on the site, and if they're reading, maybe they'll like it, maybe they'll share it, maybe they'll, if they're in the dairy industry, maybe they'll tell somebody about, oh hey, you were looking for, you know, milk bottles, you know these guys sell them, or you know, the strategy was really an experiment with these guys, and they were really up for it, which I was happy with. And you know what, overall sales, we just had a meeting for the last 3 months, and what was the number? Sales were up. It was just I can't remember if it was under or over. It was 20 something. It was 20% sales were up from their e-store. So what our goal was increase search rankings, and all of their keywords that they're going for, they're either ranked number 1 or have 1 or more 1 to 3 pages of their website on page 1 for all of their keywords. So they're happy about that. Their website traffic is increasing, and their e-store sales are increasing. Now they don't know, and we were talking about this earlier. I think very earlier. They don't know how much of that, like from the Nightmares thing, they don't know how much of that traffic is converting. Meaning, like, are people coming from Twitter to the blog, and then, you know,
and then to the e-store.
Right. And the reason is they're not that upset about that. There is a way to do it, and we're going to do that for the next campaign. It's just what we agreed to originally wasn't what we agreed to now.
So for the most part, your clients, are they looking for like a direct, we want an increase in sales. That's what we want. We're hiring you because we want an increase in sales.
Everybody
we don't really
else,
care. Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really care how you get that, but then there's got to be measurements in there. I mean, one of the 5 for those of you, we're not going to get to these, but there was an article in the Analytical Eye by Elizabeth Monnier-Williams, I think.
Yep, the analytic guy.
The 5 takeaways from this Niagara Fear Factory. So I suggest you all take a look at it. It's quite interesting, the takeaways. But one of the takeaways was be patient.
Yeah.
Success is rarely overnight.
And try explaining that to a client who wants sales right away.
Right, and plus you've had this success. So pressure's on, right?
Well, yeah.
It's like being an author or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
sort of. I mean, I try and let them know. You know what it is? It's all about. We had value to share in like with Nightmares.
Right.
We had value to share, and I think we provided value to the users because we gave them a really funny picture of themselves, a souvenir of themselves that was ready to be able to be shared.
Right.
And we pushed them to share it socially because when you type in your email address, you know, to get your picture emailed to you so you can share it. It has all of our social channels there. There's a little call to action to say make sure you post this on Facebook. You almost don't have to tell people that, because think about it today. If you went away to Niagara Falls, and I know like we're all from the Niagara region, so we're a little jaded, but can you imagine if you went somewhere and you took a picture of yourselves inside a haunted house and you look absolutely hilarious and you're scared? What's the first thing most people are probably going to do? Exactly.
Yeah.
So so there's not even much of a push to do that. So that was the value that we gave them, because they love the fact that we actually
You made
have
it easy
souvenir
for them
pictures.
to
Tell people where they went and how
Right.
crazy it was,
And
in
include
effect it
people
helps
in it.
us.
Yeah.
And now by providing value and giving them value, what did we get back out of it? A ton of value in terms of website traffic, website rankings, and there's ROI on that as well.
right.
In terms of through the doors, because he's seen, we've talked, and you know, numbers have gone up, and I mean, who knows what we can attribute it to.
So do you sell the client a lot on, you may not directly, or it may take quite some time before you're going to see any actually increase in revenue, but here's what you're going to see in the meantime. These are the lead indicators, for example. So lead indicator is going to be, we're number 1 in the search rankings.
Yes, that comes up with that. It's usually like if I'm going to do a social campaign, it's got to be 12 months. Because the first 3 months are basically, as if we're just starting something brand new,
Right.
That's going to be all set up. Like when I'm saying be patient, 3 months is going to be all set up. We won't
Right.
even do a report for the first 3 months because there's going to be nothing
Right.
good to be reported about. After 6 months, you can do a report from start to 6 months, or
Right.
even better from just
3
the
months.
last 3 months.
Yeah.
Right, and then you can see what's going on. Now, and then the metrics to start looking at as you're leading up to that would be like, hey, you know what, we increased, you know, followers by 30%, or you know, fans by like 30%, or engagement by whatever, reach, Facebook reach by whatever. You know, those would be the key things to say that, you know, social's working.
These are the lead
Right.
indicators.
But the big thing those are the lead indicators, but the big thing is at the end of the day, this person wants to increase sales, right?
Right.
Sometimes they get so focused on Facebook followers, website traffic, rankings, and whatever other type of social reach there is, but everybody is concentrating on that top end of the funnel where they're getting people to their website. But now what? You've asked, and we've talked about 3-4 times tonight, what's the return? What's the
Right.
return? The people, like, and again, they don't, like, a budget can only go so far. There's a lot of analysis that has to be done to track. Some people's websites aren't set up for you to be able to put in that tracking.
Right.
Some websites don't even have analytics, Google Analytics on them. You got to put them on right at the beginning. So you're not really dealing with a lot of data or historical data to go by. You're getting people coming to, like, essentially some people who want sales right away are going to need a complete, like, overhaul. New website, content strategy, SEO on their website, SMO, like social media optimization, and like a content strategy where regular and relevant content is coming out regularly.
Right.
Because you're going to need all of that in order to get those sales, because you're not going to show up in the rankings by just doing SEO, or you're not going to create any social engagement by just posting on social channels.
Right.
You have to have some type of content strategy that matches with your brand, and the message you're trying to get out. And what I'm trying to get at is converting at the end of it all.
Right.
And it's more of an inbound marketing. I like to call it inbound content marketing, because you're using content to bring people into your website, whether it be through search or whether it be through social.
Right.
And the content and the strength of the content and the relevancy of that content is going to be what is going to be the driving force. It's not going to be just SEO or just posting stuff on social.
And then at the end of it, you need to have a good product as well.
Well,
Right.
that whole
You need
value
to-
thing.
right.
Because you can't, the product has to be, because both with Wine Keller, which we didn't talk about, and Nightmares, the product was there in the sense that,
Right.
the product was there. We're going to give you a scare, you're going to love it, and you're going to want to share it.
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody loves it and shares it, but clearly a lot of people do as well.
But the percentage is there.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is, and it's the same for Wine Keller. I mean, they do really, really well. I mean, they've been open 6 months, and they're the #1 restaurant in Niagara Falls on TripAdvisor. 6 months they've been open.
Where are they?
See, you don't even know where they are.
I don't know where they are.
Restaurant. We really gamed
Has anybody
the
heard of
reviews.
them?
That's how we did it.
Wine
I'm joking.
Keller?
I'm joking.
I may have seen
It-
them on Twitter.
Yeah, I hope you saw them on
Yeah.
Twitter.
And
Who's heard of
Ann
them?
knows.
Nice.
I know maybe on
Yeah,
Twitter.
but do you know what? Seriously, just Google Wine Keller. It's spelled WEIN, but you can spell it WINE. Again, Adam helped us with the website. We get so much compliments on that website. I swear to God. Look at this website and look at the way the social is integrated on it. It's very similar to the way, like everything, what I've heard is everything's there for you. And I'll tell you, and no offense to Adam, he knows this, I don't like the website, but that's only, he probably is sick of it too, because we want to try, I got another idea, I want to do something else. He's behind it. We may want to do something where it's a single page thing, just more big images, because people are really liking the images of the food. And the images of the food, I took on my iPhone. I had a guy take one on a real camera.
Yeah.
But some of them we took on iPhones, and people are telling us they love the pictures of the food. I'm not saying anything to them. I'm just all thank you. But I'm thinking to myself,
An iPhone.
we took usually when you're doing food shots, you have to make all your dishes in
Right,
one day, as
yeah.
people probably know at the end of the road down here that they have
Spray
to.
'em all.
Yeah, and then you have to take them all. But they
Yeah.
didn't have the kitchen made. They didn't even have, the place was being under construction when we started it. So I think what sold it was we were out there. We created a buzz, and then we got people in there, and their service and their food.
Right. So backs it up. Yeah.
So there's where the product thing comes in,
Yeah.
along with the marketing.
Yeah. You got to back up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me, can you please, I'm sorry, can you spell that one? So I can look at the
WEIN
website? Okay,
KELLER.ca. It's all one word.
thank you.
Okay, it's 6:35. So does anybody have any questions? Yes.
The number of people coming through the door since 2011 at the Fear Factory, do you have any numbers, the increase there?
I know it's been, what I know is, and what I'm allowed to say from what's comfortable with the owner is that he has seen, and this is why I think he's still a client, he has seen increases from 2011 up until even today.
So he's continuing to see an increase in the number of
Yeah,
clients. coming
sometimes
through the door.
it is up and down, but at the same time, overall, he's happy. So I mean, it's one of these things when the client's happy and he's not complaining. You may not know exactly how much ROI he's getting, but if he's not complaining, he's probably getting. He's probably happy.
Well, and I mean, I think tourism is going to be up and down anyway.
Well, that's
right?
just, I mean, that's just it.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, like what he compares to is the previous year, like the previous year, but it's so much so like we'll go like we probably won't, like 2 weeks ago we probably weren't even measuring anything, but then when March break hits, then we're
Right.
comparing March break to the
To
previous
March break last year,
because of-
and July and August to the
yeah,
previous
exactly, or May
whatever,
2-4, or Family Day, or,
Yeah.
or those specific occasions, because then we have something to compare it to. And the front desk talks to people a lot, and Frank's wife actually works at the front desk too. So they talk to people a lot to find out where they heard about us, type thing. Unfortunately, I hear little of that, but Frank hears all of it. So, and as I said, if there's any, I mean, Frank's the type of guy. If something's not right, I'm going to hear about it pretty quick. So, I don't know the exact numbers, but
But it is up?
But yeah, it's up. He's happy.
Anybody else? Got anything? Larry?
So when you're talking to a client about a new concept you have that is brand new to them, how do you go about explaining it and painting that picture so that they can understand what you're trying to get across?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It's tough though. I mean, I'm sure you're asking because you go through it yourself a lot.
I do. I'm hoping you give me some.
Well, you know what? It's frustrating. I mean, I speak about this with Brent Porter back there too. Is that sometimes it's really difficult speaking with clients because you're a little ahead of them and really excited about what you can do for them. Because you were pretty confident you could do this, but they have no idea what you're talking about. So what I try and do is it's one of those things where, you try and find some type of common ground, not in terms of a personal thing, but in terms of an understanding. Have you ever used the Facebook page? Let's say they say no. Do you remember MySpace? Are you familiar with how any of this stuff works? Like, or something. Yeah, I understand. Okay, so you do this, you do that. So I try and get it from a very basic element and tell them, so what we're going to do is kind of like that. But we're going to take it to, let's say, we're going to apply, we're going to put out content, we're going to optimize it, we're going to build you a new website, and that's going to help the part that he understands about this. And then somehow, some way, I try and tie in his end goal, because what's going to happen, if his end goal is to increase his reach on social, it'll be like, well, that's how it's going to happen. But I mean, I don't know, that's what I kind of try and do. And it doesn't work all the time. I mean, I don't know how many have fired clients before, but sometimes you get into a situation where they're not understanding what you're saying, and like it's happened to me, and it sucks because I know I can. I don't know I can help this person, but I want to because it's exciting, and like, I mean, you know what I'm talking about, because what they have, I got the solution to that
Well,
problem.
it's chemistry, right?
That's a big.
Chemistry with the person.
Yeah, and I think the more and that's where those it's tough from a marketing consultant point of view, because I know me, I don't like to be the sales guy. I like to be the marketing guy, and I like to be by myself in front of my computer and just creating. I'm more comfortable that way. I don't have no problem talking to anybody, but when I got to go sell, and we have to be able to do that, right? We have to. So I dig deep into the old days of doing sales of what I hated, and you try, I watch a lot. I watch Glenn Ross a lot, and I watch Boiler Room a lot, and and that gets me into the sales pitch.
Copies for
Seriously,
closers, yep.
exactly.
Anybody else?
One other question,
Yep,
sorry.
yep.
How do you temper expectations?
Oh man.
So you know that I want to increase sales as the ultimate goal, and you said we don't measure anything for the first 3 months. But he's paying your salary or your retainer for 3 months. When does it come, the feet hit the street, like this is where we got to start doing something? How do you temper that?
I try and put it out in an onboard package that I'll give to the client to fill out, so I can get some additional information and start to build. And I'm talking for a social campaign. Are we talking for?
Just in general,
Okay.
online.
Okay, I'm gonna go more social than SEO because I think I'll try and answer it, and then if I didn't quite get it, I try and I got to get into in an onboard package. One of the most important thing I'm trying to do is understand their buyer personas. So once I understand who I'm talking to, then I can try and say, listen, this is what it's going to take, and I'll temper expectations by trying to set them by saying, okay, look, I'm going to target. Let's say your demo is, a female. It's a female fashion boutique, and they want the young diva and the older diva, the mothers and daughters to come in. Okay, so now how are we going to do this socially? So I got to come up with a strategy of who we're talking to and what kind of content we're going to put out to them socially. I'll explain to them that this is going to take time. And I think I'm comfortable in saying in a month I'll get you 100 followers. It may not sound like a lot, but if we do a lot more, then we're exceeding. And if we do a lot less, you know, hey, look, like I said, it could be up, it could be up or down. The other thing too is learning more about the actual project and find out how much. Remember how I was just saying we're really excited about such and such client, we want to go work it. You know, I was excited about that client, the dairy manufacturer, but from the challenge point of view. But I was also sweating a little bit, thinking, you know what, like I think we can do this, but I never tested this market before. You know, so it's a little risky.
I don't know dairy farmers.
Well, that's the other thing too, right? I mean, that's the great thing about the job too, is like you learn a lot because you're getting into, I mean, things that I mean, sometimes I'm working with construction companies that are making bridges and I have no idea this stuff, and I'm just SEOing their site, but you got to get into who's searching for them type thing. But I think it's a matter of just setting the expectation beforehand, and saying the social does take time, and there's data online to show that you know, social does take time. Is that kind of what?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yep.
Early,
When you
Oh.
do those,
sorry.
when you do those websites, like, do people offer anything like a coupon, a free thing, you know?
Does the client offer?
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. One thing we do for the wine cellar site, for example, is we have a preferred guest program. And what that preferred guest program is, it will we'll send out offers. You get a discount on your parking, this type of thing. But when you sign up, we give you a coupon to get a free dessert at the restaurant. Now, the only reason that is because, well, somebody's giving you their email address. What are you going to do for them type thing? I'm trying to say, look, I'm going to send you this type of stuff a couple of times or once every 2 months, plus you get a free dessert. Now, I'm trying to talk to this client into starting an email marketing campaign, but he's really slow and doesn't want to get this going yet. And it's killing me because we're getting people who's not, every like Sunday or Monday, even Sundays, even Saturday nights, Friday nights, Thursday nights even too. On the weekend, I'm always getting these things from MailChimp saying you got a new subscriber. And what it is it's people sitting in the restaurant, hitting the website, and seeing that they can get a free dessert if they join the preferred guest program. So the argument with the owner is they're just signing up because we're giving them a free coupon for a free, and I'm like, yeah, but they gave us their email address. I mean, if they're gonna unsubscribe, that's fine. With like, what I mean is if I want to target them with an email marketing campaign after, to start sending them, you know, like we want to send them our new menu coming up in the spring. There's 2 new patios going up. My whole strategy is, let's talk to these people that have already been, that's the converted, so we can preach to that converted because they love us already. They've been here. You know, tell them about the new patio coming, tell them about the new wines for the summer, the new desserts for the spring, or all that stuff. But he's like, they're only signing up because of the free coupon.
Yeah, but they're signing up.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying I don't care why they're signing up, you know. And if we provide them with something decent and something of value, they're not going to unsubscribe. And if they do,
Yeah.
you didn't want them anyway. I mean, they're not qualified. They're not a qualified lead anyway.
Yeah.
And it's a good way to clean out your email list too.
Yeah.
To find out.
Database, yeah. You had another question?
Well, it's kind of part and parcel of that question of the chicken and the egg. You're talking about SEOs and email lists. You said Frank had a substantial email list,
A fairly decent email list that he didn't use too much though.
and there was a site that you said for emails?
Travel Zoo, right?
Oh, okay. So what I was talking about for that may have been some of the hotel thing I was talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the hotel had a huge database, and they get their emails from however they get their emails, reservations or on the website or whatnot. So that was that was the hotel's main database. That was all of their, and I was trying to, that was all of their past clients, their past guests. So I was trying to introduce social into that to have other databases. Some people that are in the email database may also follow on Facebook, but those are they love you because they're following you on Facebook and they're following. It doesn't matter if they double up.
So you working with SEOs creates that email list you're saying down the road?
No, SEO and the email are two completely different things. So the email list, the email, what you want on your website is a call to action of some, one main call to action, whatever your main conversion is, but you should have a secondary call to action to join up to your email list. So you can call, I mean, that's a really generic way of saying it. I would try and find something a little more creative and offer them something like, depending on what you do, you can provide some type of value from them. Even if it's a service-oriented thing, you could offer them a PDF download of an idea of what the services are. If it's a how to fix something, you could offer them a PDF on how to fix a small part, but they have to call you to do the next part. That type of part it's more lead generation than SEO. It's not SEO at all. So people are coming to your website. If they're signing up for your email list, they're interested. If they're downloading, PDF 1, they're interested in that area. If they're downloading PDF 2, they're interested in that area. So now that you have that info, now you can segment those email lists and target those people with exactly what you want. But you can also do the same thing with social too. Like, why not build more databases? You got your email database and that's great. But where are people every day? I mean, half your market is probably, I don't know, a good portion of your market is probably on either LinkedIn or Pinterest, or maybe even, or I'm at Facebook daily. So that works as well as getting a nice database there. I'll use those social databases just like an email database.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit how you got Wine Color #1 on TripAdvisor?
Yeah, I don't think that was necessarily us, but I think we had a part. I think what we did was got the word out. We got the word out that there's this new place. We got a buzz going. So we got what I always used to say as a marketer. I don't normally say this anymore, but I used to say my job is to make the phone ring. Your job is to sell them. But sometimes clients don't like to hear that because they'll be like, well, what am I paying you for then, right? So, but I mean, like, we created the buzz. We said there's this new place, it's a great restaurant. We're serving fresh food, farm fresh, wine made in-house. Just created some type of buzz. The people came in who followed us and who heard about it from the Grapevine. However, the Grapevine's the name of the blog as well on Wine Keller. What we did, our job was done there. I think they came into the place, and the food and the service is what sold them on the reviews that they gave, because they're not reviewing the marketing; they're reviewing the food and the service in there. So I think we did what the goal was to make the phone ring or to get the people in the door, and then they took over with the product and the value. So we offered some type of perceived value in terms of buzz, and then the users
Follow
came in.
through, yeah.
Yeah, but that's where it comes, what you're saying about it's the product. If
Yeah.
the product's not there,
Well, and they're only reviewing the marketing if the marketing isn't backing up what the experience is, right?
that's true too.
Right?
Yeah.
So if your marketing is all about the great experience and their experience isn't great,
Yeah.
now all of a sudden they're reviewing the marketing.
People do that for nightmares. If
okay,
you read
yeah.
TripAdvisor, they'll be like, oh, the marketing, they do a good job with the marketing because they hype you up on all this stuff.
Right.
Take it as a compliment. That's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
That's what we're supposed to get people excited
Yeah.
about what they're
Yeah.
doing. And then it's up to them, to the client, to be able to close the deal, sell
Yeah.
it.
Okay, it's 10 to 7. I think we're gonna wrap it up. I think Vee's gonna be here for a little bit, so I don't know if he's gonna talk to anybody, but I bet you he will. So. So thanks to all of you for coming. Thanks to Jim at Infinity Video